If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's a direct quote from a Barclays trader, typed into a private chat room he shared with competitors at 5 other banks. They called the chat room three-way banana split. They named another one the Bandits Club. And then the European Commission fined them a combined 1.4 billion euros for rigging the largest financial market on the planet. But this story doesn't start with the fine. It starts with a group chat. These were supposed to be the most trusted institutions in global finance. Barclays, JPMorgan, Citigroup, Royal Bank of Scotland, UBS. The banks that governments relied on to stabilize currencies. The banks that managed pension funds worth trillions. The banks that corporations trusted to exchange billions at fair market prices every single day. Their foreign exchange desks employed hundreds of traders whose entire job was to compete against each other, driving prices toward fairness through competition. Clients believed that when they called their bank to exchange 200 million euros, they were getting the best price the market could offer. That belief was the foundation of the entire system. But behind closed doors, the people running those desks were working together. Every single day, $5.3 trillion moves through the foreign exchange market. Euros into dollars, pounds into yen, currencies swapped across borders millions of times before lunch. And at the center of all of it sits one benchmark, the WM Reuters 4 p.m. fix. Every day at 4 p.m. London time, a 60-second window opens. 30 seconds before, 30 seconds after. Every trade executed in that window gets averaged together. And that average becomes the official exchange rate used to value $3.6 trillion in pension funds, index funds, and corporate contracts worldwide. It is supposed to be neutral. A snapshot of the real market at one specific moment. Pension funds use it to calculate what their portfolios are worth. Corporations use it to hedge currency risk. Index funds use it to rebalance holdings across borders. If that number is wrong, everything built on top of it is wrong too. But what if the people executing trades in that window were sharing their clients' orders with each other beforehand? What if they were building positions together and flooding the market at the exact same time to shove the rate wherever they wanted? That is exactly what happened for 6 years. But it gets worse. Because this wasn't some sophisticated hacking operation. Starting in December 2007, senior traders at these banks created private chat rooms on Bloomberg terminals. Invitation only. You had to survive what they called a trial to get in. Once you proved you could be trusted to break the rules, the door opened. And once you were inside, competition simply stopped existing. The traders shared confidential client order information in real time. They told each other exactly how much currency their clients wanted to exchange, in which direction, and when. They coordinated their strategies so they could move the 4 p.m. fix together. They called it building ammo. They would stack positions in the same direction before the window opened, then execute massive coordinated trades during those 60 seconds to push the benchmark wherever they wanted. The technique had another name in the industry, banging the close. But here's where it gets really embarrassing. These weren't junior traders hiding in a back office hoping nobody noticed. Richard Usher ran G11 spot trading at Royal Bank of Scotland before moving to JPMorgan. Rohan Ramchandani was head of G10 spot trading at Citigroup. Christopher Ashton ran spot FX at Barclays. The heads of the desks, the most senior people in the room. And they treated the largest financial market on earth like a private poker game where they could see everyone else's cards. The information they shared let them front-run their own clients. Here is how it worked in practice. A pension fund calls Barclays and says it needs to buy 200 million euros at the 4 p.m. fix. The Barclays trader types this into the chat room. Now every trader in the group knows a massive buy order is coming, so they all buy euros before the fix, pushing the price up. During the 60-second window, their coordinated buying pushes it even higher. The pension fund gets a worse rate, the traders pocket the difference. Multiply that by every single trading day for 6 years across multiple currency pairs, and you begin to understand the scale of what was stolen from people who trusted these banks with their retirement savings. But that number, that was just one trade on one day. But they weren't done, not even close. They had another trick called standing down. If one trader in the chat room had a position that would benefit from the fix moving in a certain direction, The others would simply stop trading during the window. They removed competition from a market that only works because of competition. As one Barclays trader typed into the chat, the less competition, the better. A JPMorgan trader was slightly more self-aware. He wrote, "Probably shouldn't put this on permachat." He put it on permachat anyway. And no, I'm not making that up. If you're watching billion-dollar banks get caught rigging the system that prices your pension, hit subscribe. I cover a new corporate disaster every week. While all of this was happening, the chatroom names kept getting more absurd. 2.5 men, only Marge. Semi-grumpy old men. Essex Expressen the Jimmy. That last one earned its name because all the traders, except one, lived in Essex and met on the same commuter train into London every morning. They named their illegal price-fixing operation after their morning commute. They genuinely believed nobody would ever find out. But here's what makes the arrogance truly staggering. For 6 years, nobody did catch them. Compliance departments at every single one of these banks received warnings about chatroom culture and information sharing. They did nothing. Market anomalies at the 4 p.m. fix, sudden unexplained spikes in volatility, were dismissed as normal activity. The Forex market was considered too big and too liquid to manipulate. That assumption was wrong. But then Bloomberg published everything. On June 12, 2013, Bloomberg News ran the headline, "Traders set to rig currency rates to profit off clients." The chatroom transcripts were exposed to the public for the first time. Regulators in 4 countries launched investigations simultaneously. The UK Financial Conduct Authority, the US Department of Justice, Swiss FINMA, and the European Commission. Dawn raids hit bank offices. Computers were seized. And one of the banks inside those chat rooms decided to flip. But the banks weren't the only ones panicking. UBS called DG Competition in Brussels and applied for leniency. They confessed everything. Every chatroom name, every participant, every manipulation tactic. In exchange, UBS received full immunity and avoided approximately 285 million euros in fines. The bank that helped rig the market walked away clean, because it talked first. The other banks did not get that option. But if you thought the confession was embarrassing, wait for the fines. On May 16, 2019, Commissioner Margrethe Vestager stood at the podium in the Berlaymont building and started reading numbers. Citigroup, 310.8 million euros. JPMorgan, 228.8 million. Royal Bank of Scotland, 249.2 million. Barclays, 210.3 million. MUFG Bank, 69.7 million. One by one, the bill came due. Total, for the first round alone, 1.07 billion euros. Vestager's words were blunt. The behavior of these banks undermined the integrity of the financial sector at the expense of the European economy and consumers. But the EU wasn't finished. Not even close. December 2021. A second round of fines for the Sterling Lads chatroom. HSBC was fined 174.3 million euros. Credit Suisse got 83.2 million. Barclays and RBS were fined again. Combined across both decisions, the European Commission extracted approximately 1.4 billion euros from these banks for rigging the Forex markets. The US added another 5.7 billion in settlements. The UK FCA piled on 1.1 billion pounds. The total global bill for typing in a group chat exceeded 8 billion. But here's the part that makes it perfect. The individual traders, Richard Usher, Rohan Ramchandani, Christopher Ashton, all 3 were indicted in the United States. All 3 flew to New York voluntarily to face up to 10 years in prison. The jury deliberated for less than 5 hours. Acquitted. All 3 walked out free. The UK Serious Fraud Office dropped its investigation entirely. So the banks paid billions. The traders who actually typed the messages, who shared the client orders, who bragged that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. They paid nothing. They served nothing. The chatroom called the Bandits Club earned its name. The Bandits Got Away. 1.4 billion euros in EU fines, 8 billion globally, 6 years of manipulation, $5.3 trillion in daily volume, and the people who did it are still free. The next company I'm covering didn't rig a market. They bribed their way to a monopoly, and the EU caught them with the receipts.